Hi guys, Sarah Paulson here with NotYourGrandma'sCrafting.net and NotYourGrandma'sCrafting.wordpress.com. I am here with another card from the Gettin Grungy With It series. I have aptly named this card, Well, Aren't You a Delicate Little Flower? I think just because I like to be cheeky. Anyways, this is a pretty fun card. It's kind of intricate. I've used some of the Stampin' Up! Vellum paper, which we get a fun effect here. And I've actually stamped on the inside of this card, which I don't normally do, but I got a couple of fun new stamp sets that I wanted to show off. So let's go ahead and get started. I have started with the basic black cardstock as the base, and I have cut it at 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4.25. Sorry. And I've used my bone folder to get a nice crisp edge here. Now we're just going to set this aside for a second because we've got a lot more to do. The next layer that goes on, you're going to be using 3 different pieces here. The base is your basic black cardstock cut at 5.25 by 4 inches. And then we have some designer series paper that we're going to put on top of that. And we have the modern medley paper cut at 3 inches by 4.25 inches, and your champagne glimmer paper cut at 2 inches by 4.25 inches. So we have a little bit of distressing to do to this particular piece. And what we're going to use is our baked brown sugar ink pad to go ahead and just give some age to this paper. So we're going to set that aside, and we're going to go ahead and tape these 2 pieces down. So I've used a few different things to tie these pieces together and give it a seamless looking edge. I have used the Crochet Trim Victoria ribbon, and that's the 5/8 inch. And so I'm going to go ahead and normally I would have these pre-cut, but I want to show you guys how I do this because I don't measure everything out exactly. I just kind of eyeball it all out. So now we're going to come in with the washi tape, and this is the Epic Day This and That designer washi tape. It's a lot of fun, in my opinion. Now we have the first layer of our base done. We're going to go ahead and set this all aside for a second because we're going to start working on our vellum. Got, let's see, 5 different stamp sets that I've worked with on this card, and they all tie in really nicely together. The first one that we're going to use is a stamp from the Serene Silhouette stamp, and you're going to go ahead and ink it up with your basic black. Go ahead and stamp in the left bottom corner of the vellum. With the vellum, you have got to use your heating tool to dry all inks because it doesn't dry right away. You're going to be sitting here forever waiting for this. So I always break out my heating tool and put it on number 1 setting so you don't catch the thing on fire. Okay, the second thing that we're going to do to this vellum here, I've actually already pre-stamped. And this is the film strip stamp. It just comes as one, and I've obviously doubled up here and then cut a few pieces off. We're going to do some fun things with this little piece here to make it look translucent. So I've already pre-stamped this and pre-cut it just for time's sake, but what we're going to do is we're going to take our baked brown sugar and we're going to kind of age the film up a little. Once again, you've got to take your heating tool to this and just give it a once over so it doesn't bleed onto everything else. Okay, and before we put this on top of the other piece of vellum, we're also going to brown the edges of this piece. All right, once again, we're going to take our heating tool to it so it dries faster. Now we are going to take our snail, and you flip the film strip side over, and I'm going to double up on this just because what we're going to be doing to this piece, it needs to have a strong hold. And then we're going to set that aside for just a second. And I've got a small piece of Whisper White cardstock here that we're going to stamp on, and it's going to be your saying on the front of the card. Now, this particular stamp is from Peachy Keen, and it is the Hello Friend stamp. It's universal. You can use the card for basically anything. So let's take your basic black ink and ink up the stamp. And you're going to want to stamp in the bottom left-hand corner of the Whisper White. What we're going to do with this is put it behind the vellum. So we're going to come in with our snail and hit up both sides of the front. Okay, oops, sorry. And then this is going to go behind our vellum. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach this to the front of the first layer of our card. And how I've done this is by putting some safety pins from the vintage trinket set. They go really cute with most things just because they're kind of dingy looking and old. Alright, now we have the front of our card made. The effect that we get on the film strip, I've used Crystal Effects. Forgive me, my bottle of Crystal Effects is ancient, but I'm kind of cheap and not willing to get a new one until I need it. So what you're going to do is go over the film strip part of this with your Crystal Effects. So now that you've done this, you're going to want to let this sit for a while. I let mine sit overnight. You don't necessarily need to do that, but I suggest it just so that when you go to touch it, you don't leave dents in it, and you don't, get any tackiness on your fingers. So for video time's sake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside and use a front that I've already made, and we're going to continue on from there. As you can see, when it dries, it gets this really, excuse me, crinkly effect, which I think is just awesome. It has a really old burnt film effect going on, and I just love it. So what we're going to do with this front is we are going to use our Stampin' Dimensionals, and I use like a billion of these just to make it pop out. So, and once again, as I do with everything, I am going to eyeball it. For the inside of our card, what I've done is I've taken a piece of crumb cake cardstock and Whisper White cardstock. For the crumb cake, I cut it at 4 by 5 1/4 inches, And the Whisper White is at 3 1/4 by 5 inches. And we're gonna use some fun stamp sets on this. Using the, let's see, Gorgeous Grunge stamp set, you're gonna take this cool looking stamp and you're gonna use a lighter color to go on the bottom. So to tie in with everything, we're gonna use the baked brown sugar. So go ahead and ink up and stamp. Now we're going to take a stamp from Hip Notes stamp set, and it's the Thanks stamp, and you're going to go ahead and ink it up in your basic black ink. And this is just going to go on the inside of your card. So let's go ahead and hit this up with your snail. And there you have it, folks. I'm really pleased with this card. I think it turned out super cute and super fun with all the different elements involved. There's going to be another one coming soon, so watch out for that. And I hope you had fun. Good night, crafters.